All right, everyone, and welcome to a brand new module here in the Academy. Now, this module in particular is actually recorded quite a bit after all of the other modules in the Academy. And it's because it's been a module that we've really wanted to perfect because there's a lot of important points that we're going to cover in this module. So as always, stick through the entirety of the module, watch it from start to finish and take a bunch of notes during the course of this module, because there are a lot of things in here that you definitely do not want to miss. And again, there's a lot of things in here that if you follow these and implement them into your daily life and into your work structure, you're going to see results much faster and much more consistently, because we're going to be talking about the law of progress and results, what it means to achieve deep work focus, how we structure our day for proper efficiency, how to meditate, and all of these things in between. Now, as you know, the Academy is a very, very technical course. We don't focus on motivation and mindset too much, right? We don't really go too much into those things. We purely focus on the technical aspects of this industry and delivering knowledge in those aspects so we can actually create real world results for ourselves and for our clients. However, just like with the last module, there are some important foundations that we need to have in place on our own side before we can actually start creating those real world results. All right. So again, in the rest of the course, you're going to learn all the technical knowledge there is to know. But in this one, we're going to lay some more important building blocks that will allow you to see more success with your business. So without any further ado, let's get into the module. So the law of progress and results. Now, in this module, we're going to be covering compounding effects, what it means for us, and how we can see disproportionate results in correlation to how much effort we put in. Okay, so what we're going to notice is that sometimes we're putting in more effort and seeing less results, and sometimes we're putting in less effort and seeing more results. Okay, so we're going to be covering what compounding effects means and how it actually works in our business. Okay, we're going to be talking about deep work focus. So how do we actually achieve this state of deep work focus that allows us to get more work done in 1 or 2 hours than most people can get done in a full working day. Okay, then we're going to be talking about how to structure your work and your working day and schedule efficiently so that we do not waste any time switching between different tasks during the course of a working day. And then we're going to be talking about distraction elimination and things that can boost your focus. All right. So firstly, let's get into compounding effects. Okay. Now, the basics of compounding effects, monetary, is something that a lot of you have already heard about. Okay. So we've taken a very, very basic chart right here, as you can see on the right. Now, this chart illustrates what happens if you put in $1,000 into your bank account annually for 100 years, and that $1,000, well, your balance in that bank account grows by 8% on a yearly basis. Okay, so obviously if you put $1,000 into a bank account every year for 100 years, then you've put in $100,000, right? However, if you're seeing an 8% annual growth on your deposits, well, then after 100 years, the bank account will actually contain $2.2 million, as you could see at the end of the graph, instead of just the $100,000 that you've actually deposited in physical monetary value, right? Now, the reason this happens, obviously, is because, well, if we get an 8% growth on a $1,000 deposit, that's not a lot of money, right? That's only $80 that we're seeing. So in the first year, we're only making $80 in profit on our $1,000 deposit. But as that grows and as you keep putting money into the account, well, that 8% will amount to more growth annually because you have more money in your account, right? And so as you can see towards the end of the graph, we're seeing exponential growth, right? For the first 50 years, the climb is actually quite slow. But as we progress towards the 60th, 70th, 80th, 90th, and 100th year, we're seeing exponential growth. Okay, now this is compounding effects at its most basic level, okay, in a monetary sort of scenario. But what about compounding effects in terms of effort/work? Okay, so how do the effort and the time that we put into our work compound into results over time? Is there a linear structure between putting in 1 hour of work and seeing proportionate results? Or will effort and hours spent working actually have compounding effects over time, meaning we see exponential results and gain on the hours that we've worked over time? Well, let's break it down. So what I'm going to do right now is actually I'm going to open my iPad and try to illustrate this to you while drawing it out. All right, everyone. So I've started a screen recording on my iPad right now. And so I'm going to try to illustrate the compounding effects that you see upon your work effort. Okay. Now, just to quickly structure it here, we're going to draw 3 lines. So let me make sure that I've got the marker on. Perfect. All right. So let's draw a little graph to start. Trying to get this Apple Pencil to work. Actually, I don't want the line to be that long. Let's do it like that, like so, and like so. I don't have a ruler in here, so apologize for my poor drawing skills. We're gonna have to make it work. Okay, that's perfect. So out here on the right, let me just twist the iPad. We are going to have our results, okay? And so at the bottom here, we're gonna have $0. And at the top right here, we're gonna have 100K. Okay, this is per month, by the way. Okay, and then out here, we're gonna have effort. Okay, so this is how much work you put in. Now at the bottom, we're gonna draw 12 months. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Perfect. It doesn't really matter here if we have sort of 10 or 13 lines. The illustration will be the same regardless. Now, the important thing that we're going to illustrate here is the disproportionate effect between the effort that you put in and the results that you see. Okay, so usually when starting a business, you're putting in a lot of effort here at the beginning. Okay, and then that effort will actually decrease over time. So that's why we're going to draw the effort chart. Well, the effort graph, like so. All right. So here in the first month, in the first couple of months, we're putting in a lot of effort. Okay. Really heavy amounts of effort. And towards the 12th month here, or towards the 1 year mark, we're putting in less effort. Okay. Now, as I said, it doesn't really matter the time frame that we're looking at right here, the time horizon. This is just a hypothetical example. But this is generally how it works, okay? At least in terms of the results that we see. I'm not saying that you'll be working less 12 months in than you did on the first month. What I'm saying is that on the 12th month, you will have to do less work to get 100,000 than you would at month 1, okay? Now I'm gonna show you why. Let's just erase these. It's because on the second graph that we're gonna draw out here, which are for the results, this is how it looks. Okay, it's the complete polar opposite. Okay, so this means that in your first couple of months, which we're talking about right here, or maybe in your first 1 to 2 months, you will put in a lot of effort, but you won't see a lot of results, usually. Okay, now this is sort of a very broad and usual curve. Okay, now we've seen people reach $10,000, $15,000 in monthly revenue with their agency within 4 to 8 weeks of starting. And generally that's a goal. Okay, that's a good horizon. And we've seen it happen time and time again. But please understand what I'm trying to illustrate here. Usually you're putting in lots of work at the beginning and not seeing that many results. Okay. And so let's just color sort of these spectrums right here. Let's go ahead and do blue for just to easier understand what we are actually looking at here. So let's try an airbrush, see how that works. So the blue one here is how much work we put in. And the red one here is going to be how many results we see. Okay. what I want you to pay attention to is that around here, right, around the 6 months mark, let me just switch back to black. Around the 6 month mark, right, we've put in a lot of effort, right? We put in all the effort right here, a lot of effort. And we're sitting here in terms of revenue, right? So if this is 100K and this is 0, I'd estimate we're sitting around 25,000 in monthly revenue here, okay? 25,000. So let's do K month, okay? Yet you've put in disproportionate amounts of effort, right? You've put in a lot of effort up to this point. You've actually put in 6 months of steady effort. And these 6 months have yielded plus 25K in MRR. Okay, now what MRR means is monthly reoccurring revenue. Okay, so you've signed $25,000 in clients, and these clients are paying you every single month, right? So 6 months in, you're making $25,000 a month, okay, in monthly reoccurring revenue. But in the following 6 months, from month 6, let's just count, yeah, that's pretty accurate, to 12, you actually do, in these 6 months, you do plus 75K in MRR, okay? Now notice how we've spent 6 months on both sides of the table here, right? But in the first 6 months, we only got plus 25K in monthly recurring revenue. And in the following 6 months, we got plus 75K in monthly revenue, okay? And so that's what this line stands for. And this is why we see a disproportionate effect. You need to do less work the further you get to get bigger numbers, okay? And so this is really how business works, and you really have to sort of grasp this, okay? At the beginning of starting my agency, I would go bonkers if I signed a $2,500 client, right? I would have to put in, firstly, a lot of effort to do that, do a lot of outreach, cold calls, LinkedIn, Looms, emails, you name it, okay? I was doing a lot of work to get those clients, and that's part of the process. You're gonna have to do the exact same thing, okay? Whereas today, years into running my agency, I basically don't have to lift a finger to close a $10,000 per month client because I literally have them waiting in line to work with me, okay? Now, if you stay consistent over time, you're gonna get to that very same spot, okay? But that's not where you start, right? Where you start is maximum effort and minimal results. Now, if you stay consistent over time, okay, consistency is absolute key, well, then you're gonna see maximum results with minimum effort, okay? Now, obviously, the people who perform the best are the ones who take this effort curve right here and keep it very, very high, okay? They obviously see the best results, right? They just, like this, if I could continue this curve, it would just skyrocket, right? When they see compounding results. Those are the ones who see the best results. But those who just are satisfied with a monthly revenue of, let's say, $50,000 or even $30,000, well, they're the ones who can really just enjoy compounding results over time, putting in lots of effort. And then after a while, you'll actually have to put in less effort, right? You can put in quite little effort and still make between $30,000 to $75,000 a month, all right? But you're not starting there. And that's really, really important to keep in mind. Now, why is it like this? Well, why does it work like this? Well, it's because in your first couple of months, right? Let me just try and delete these circles right here. It doesn't matter. In your first few months right here, let's say month 1 to 3, month 1 to 3, you are doing incredible amounts of work. And by that, I mean incredible amounts of outreach, all right? You're doing lots of cold calls, sending out emails, LinkedIn networking, right? Sending out Looms. You're basically just expanding your network, okay? Meeting business owners. And that's key. Okay, because a lot of the people that you network with and contact in these first 3 months, they'll become your client 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months down the line. Okay, that's very, very common. Any veteran agency owner can tell you that a lot of the clients they sign today are clients that they first established contact with 1 year ago or even 2 years ago. And that's what compounding effects means in terms of putting in effort and seeing disproportionate results over time, right? And that's why we can put in so much effort here at the beginning and see minimal results, and put in less and less effort but see exponential results, because we can reap the fruits of our labor down the line, okay? But the sad thing here is that most people never get to this point because they look very, very short term, right? They look at, oh, I've done 3 months of hard work right now, right? But if we look at, which means that they've done like really heavy work, right? They've done 3 months of incredibly high work. Don't forget, this is 0% effort down here, and this is 100% effort down up here, right? Excuse me for the clutter, but that's how it works. So if you put in 3 months of work in this triangle right here, you've worked your ass off for a while, okay? But if we look at the results that you've established during this time frame, we go down here and we find the results curve. Well, your results literally amount to this little triangle right here, all right? And that's why most people never get to here, because they look in the short term. They see, oh, I've put in this much work, but I've only amounted to these results down here in this little triangle. That's all I've gotten, right? And so most people don't push through that limit. Usually you come here to the middle and you find some sort of serious results. And then that's where you see the sort of the result and the gain curve just explode, right? Up into this field where you're hitting 50, 75, 100K months, okay? And then your perspective changes entirely. This is incredibly, incredibly important stuff to remember, because this is how business works, okay? And so what I need you all to understand is that firstly, getting your first 1, 2, 3 clients is the most difficult, and then the snowball starts running. But really, you have to always remember that there are compounding effects in the same way on your work as there are in investing money, okay? It doesn't happen overnight, right? You have to put in lots of work, and then that work will compound over time and you can reap the rewards, okay? Very, very important. All right, so jumping back into the presentation. So as I said, compounding effects of your labor are paramount. People often quit before their efforts start compounding, and they never see true financial freedom / incredible results. And that's why most people end up in a boring and low paid job, okay? Most people just don't have the courage to sacrifice those 2, 3, 4 months of hard labor to see exponential results over time, because they never believe they'll get there. And that's why most people end up with boring career paths, because they're addicted to short-term gains and instant results, right? You have to think about the long term, and you must take action every single day. People who are addicted to instant outcome and results, well, they never become rich. The best investors, well, they detach themselves from the physical value of money and instead view it as a tool to create exponential results and wealth. And you need to look at your time and energy in the exact same way. People live a full life working for $20 to $50 an hour or even less, because they want to instantly reap the fruits of their labor, right? They want to feel that I've worked 1 hour, give me $20, right? That's what people are addicted to. They need that instant gratification, right? They need to feel I've worked another minute, I've made another dollar, right? But those who become successful understand that even though their time will be worth more than $10,000 per hour in the future, they must work without getting paid in the beginning. They're aware that all the hours and the effort that they put in without getting paid in the beginning will have exponentially bigger results and outcome in the future. So at this point, let's take a little bit of a look at deep work focus and how it impacts our efficiency. Okay, now let's start off with a little bit of a quote from a book by Cal Newport that I read probably a few years ago at this point. I don't even remember when. I've just saved this quote for a long time for the right moment. And so it was, The key to developing a deep work habit is to move beyond good intentions and add routines and rituals to your working life designed to minimize the amount of your limited willpower necessary to transition into and maintain a state of unbroken concentration. Now, I know that was a lot to digest initially. Let me just break down the most important words here and simplify, okay? What you have to pay attention to are the bold and underlined words here, okay? So minimize the amount of your limited willpower necessary to transition, okay? Essentially what this means is that every day when we wake up, we have a limited amount of willpower, right? Let's make that 100% willpower. Now, every time we have to sit down and do a task, we spend some of our willpower just to make that decision, right? Oh, now I'm gonna do the dishes. Now I'm gonna do the laundry. Now I'm gonna work on this client. Now I'm gonna optimize this client's ads, right? Every time you have to take a decision to do something that requires willpower, and you're using up percentages of that willpower every time you have to do one of those decisions, okay? Now, as it states, it is to add routines and rituals to your working life that minimize the amount of limited willpower necessary to transition into a new task, okay? So if we just wake up and think, oh, today I have to do laundry, I have to do dishes, I have to do client work, I have to do outreach, you're gonna spend a lot of willpower trying to transition and decide when to do those things. Okay, and so that's why it's so important that we structure when we're gonna do our work to limit the amount of willpower necessary to transition between those tasks in our life. Okay, in other words, a poorly structured or planned day will result in lost energy and less progress. You see, at the beginning of any given day, we have 100% of our daily focus. The amount of work and tasks that we can accomplish by using 100% of our focus varies from one person to another. One person may be able to work 12 focused hours, whereas a less disciplined or trained individual may only be able to complete 2 hours of work. Longer focus durations is slowly built up through pushing our limits consistently, but most importantly and firstly, we must learn how to maximize our productivity during our working hours. Okay, so regardless if we're working 1 hour a day or 12 hours a day, we must learn how to maximize the output that we can get done during those hours. So let's try and look at it like this. As I said, you waste focus and energy every time you switch from one task to another, okay, if not structured properly. So imagine the line on the right, okay? That line represents 100% of your focus on a day, and it also represents how much progress you can do on a task, okay? So imagine that this one line is one area of your business, okay? Now you spend 100% of your focus on that one aspect of your business, and that line represents the progress you made. Okay, so this line represents the maximum amount of progress that you can make in one day on one task by using 100% of your focus. Okay, now most people think that if they divide that 100% of their focus into 10 different things, well, then they will see 10% progress on each of those things. Okay, but that's really far from reality because you waste so much time every time you waste so much effort and energy every time you switch from one task to another. Okay, and so the reality is that if you switch between 10 tasks per day, you're probably only reaching 50% of the progress that you could have reached had you focused on one thing only. Okay, now the way to sort of combat this and optimize to avoid the sort of lost energy that we have in between switching tasks is by delegating our work and our effort and our focus into precisely scheduled blocks. Okay, so the solution to this is work blocks with timestamps. Okay, now I've gone ahead and pulled up one of my daily to-do lists right here. Well, it's actually a demo one that I made for the purpose of this video, but this is how it looks every single day. Okay, so in the top section, we have timestamps for the schedule of the day. Okay, now you can see, let's just break it down. 7:30, wake. 7:30 to 7:45, coffee. Now I don't spend 15 minutes drinking a coffee, but that's to allow a little bit of time to wake up and get out, put some clothes on and go grab a coffee. Then from 7:45 to 8:15, we have a run. So a 30-minute run to wake up the body and the mind and to get our blood flowing. 8:15 to 8:45, we have a shower to freshen up and get ready. This includes putting on working clothes for the day and sort of just getting your mind ready. From 8:45 to 9, we have a 15-minute meditation. And then we go straight into what we call block 1, which lasts from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Okay, so that's 2 hours of work. Now, for some of you, this is only going to be 1 hour in the beginning, okay, because there's a lot of you that aren't going to be able to do 2 hours of consistent work, focused work, that is. Okay, a lot of people can sit down and work for 2 hours while looking at their phone every 5 minutes, watching a little bit of Netflix and listening to a podcast in the background. Okay, that's not our goal right here, because if we maximize our focus, well, then we can get the same amount of work done in 1 hour, even 30 minutes, that most people do in 5 hours, while multitasking between all of those other things that really don't contribute to our life and our progress. Okay, so let's just jump on to the next one here. 11 to 11:30, we have lunch. Then 11:30 to 12, try to get a little bit of reading in to sort of break it up, okay, and to not just jump into another work block, but to actually learn something as well. This could even be longer. This could be an hour. You could also study something like languages, or study a course like the one you're watching right now, or a masterclass in cooking. Whatever you might want to learn, I definitely recommend delegating at least 30 minutes to an hour every single day, learning or reading, okay? From 12, and then we move over to 12 to 1 p.m. where we have our work block 2. Okay, now this is only 1 hour long. And yeah, then we go to the gym for 2 hours. And then we have a final work block of the day from 3 to 4 o'clock. Okay, so in total, this work day, as you can see, consists of 3 working blocks of 2 hours, 1 hour, and 1 hour. So that's a total of 4 hours of work. Okay, now this is very average for me. There's most of the days of the week I'm working 4 hours, okay? But I get more work done in those 4 hours than most people do in a full day or even 3 days of work, okay? Because I structure it very efficiently and because I've built up my focus and my discipline so I can really, really maximize my output in my working hours. So that was the top section. If we move down to the middle section, well, those are the work blocks themselves with the included tasks within, okay? Now, often they'll be much more packed into these work blocks, but oftentimes it's good to keep them very simple and lean, okay? So you can see block 1, we have an outreach session right here, okay? This is a good recommendation for all of you. 2 hours, first work block, outreach session, right? Reach out to as many leads as you possibly can. Then we move down to block 2, which is from 12 to 1 p.m. In this one, we're optimizing ads for clients and we're communicating with clients and sending them out updates on our results. Okay. Now, this is not something you want to do every single day. Obviously, as I said, this is a demo to-do list, but it illustrates the purpose. Okay. We have another block right there. And then in the final and third block of the day, we're doing some lead sourcing. Okay. Finding a bunch of leads that we can then reach out to on the following day. Okay, so again, these are demo tasks, but this is how we structure it in the middle section. And then the bottom section is actually where I write down my meetings of the day. So this could be client meetings and it could also be discovery meetings, okay, which is talking to new potential clients. Okay, and now the list sort of cut off there at the bottom because it was too long, but usually I'll have on average between 3 to 5 meetings per day. Okay, and so I'll list the timestamps of all of those down there. Okay, now I do my best to sort of not have any meetings during my working blocks, obviously, because that would ruin the entire flow of the work block. Okay, and so if you want to do this too, which I heavily recommend, then what I recommend doing is setting up a consistent routine, right? Say you're having, let's take this as an example, you're having work blocks between 9 and 11 every single day. You're having a work block from 12 to 1 p.m. every day, and you're having a work block from 3 to 4 every day. Okay, now I said these are demo timestamps and you have to find what fits into your schedule and calendar. But once you've found those time spots that fit your calendar well, while you're going to be doing your work blocks, you're going to block out those points in your Calendly scheduling software, which you're going to learn how to use later in this course. Okay, so don't worry about Calendly yet. I'm going to show you exactly how to use it later in this course. But what I recommend doing is just blocking out those hours in your calendar so nobody can book meetings with you in those time zones where you're focused, okay? And so yeah, I'll write all the timestamps down for my meetings at the bottom of the note. And so that's how we structure our day very, very efficiently, okay? Now, as you can see up there in the upper right-hand corner, there's the flight mode on, right? Now we're gonna talk about that in a second, but that's absolutely key. And that leads us directly into focus boosters, right? Now, focus boosters can be meditation, which we talked about in the schedule, okay? Now, meditation has been something that has helped me a lot, especially in the beginning phase of starting my business. It made me focus on the important points, okay? So what I like to do with meditation is, firstly, I write down this to-do list the night before my day, okay? I'm obviously not waking up and then writing down my to-do list. I always do it the night before when going to sleep, right? And so I'll also have a note in my notes on my phone where I write down my main objectives, okay? So in the beginning, my main objectives were close my first client, get to around $10,000 in monthly revenue, and just really simple objectives like that, okay? They shouldn't be complicated. Just an objective, which is getting to $15,000 or $10,000 in monthly revenue, that's a perfect objective. Another perfect objective is close your first client. Okay, so what I'll do, especially in the beginning when I was meditating, is I would read firstly my to-do list of the day. All of this while on flight mode, by the way. I'll read my to-do list for the day, and I'll read my most important objectives, right? So I'll start off my morning by reading my to-do list and then reading my objectives, which are the only things I'm focusing on in life right now. Close first client, get to 10K per month, right? And so I would read those things, and then I would just close my eyes, put on a binaural beat from Brain FM, which I'll link below this module. Really good software for listening to binaural beats. You can also use the free ones on YouTube if you're on a budget. But then I would put on that beat, close my eyes, and just try to block out all thoughts for 15 minutes, okay? Now, what it does when you read those things before going into that mental state is you somehow mysteriously move towards those directions, okay? It's a little bit difficult to explain, but if you think about it, not really, okay? It's not something sort of religious or mysterious, so to speak. You're just making those things your only focus, right? So you read your to-do list and then you close your eyes for 15 minutes. You also read your objectives before closing your eyes for 15 minutes and trying to block out everything else. And so the only thing that's going to be in your mind, on your mind, is what am I going to do today? You're going to know that because you just read your to-do list. And what am I trying to accomplish? You're also going to know that because you just read that. You just read your most important goals and objectives, right? So that's the most powerful way of meditating, in my opinion. It just helps your brain tune in on what you're trying to accomplish in life, okay? So again, meditation is not something religious, overly spiritual, or mysterious. It's literally just tuning in your sort of wavelength and your brain's focus to the things that you're trying to accomplish, okay? Now moving on here, we have binaural beats. I just talked to you about those. I recommend a good pair of headphones for listening to binaural beats. Okay, so preferably a pair of noise canceling headphones. Now binaural beats are sort of these beats that have different frequencies in each ear. There'll be maybe a drum beat or sort of a humming sound, and they usually last for anywhere between 15 minutes to 2 hours, okay? And so these are great for not only meditating, but also for listening to 1 or 2 hours when you're completing a work block, okay? It'll really tune you in and focus you, okay? So I use binaural beats both when I'm meditating for 15 minutes and also up to 2 hours when I'm doing work blocks, okay? Now, if I'm on a day where I'm feeling a little bit more cozy and I'm not feeling to listening to binaural beats because that's really heavy focus, well, then I'll listen to classical music, preferably piano, or some jazz music, okay? Then, of course, another important focus booster is airplane mode. We talked about that briefly. It's sort of self-explanatory, but it's really important, right? Always go on airplane mode when you're in your work block, okay? As I've told you to, you've blocked out your calendar. You can't get any sort of important contact or calls during your working blocks because in your working blocks, you're only focused on the tasks that you've sort of written down that you have to do during those working blocks. Okay, so put your phone on airplane mode, put it away so you're not tempted to just pick it up and turn airplane mode off. Put it away and put it on airplane mode in a safe or in a stack of clothes in your wardrobe, just somewhere where it's a big hassle to go get it. Okay, and just stow it away during your work blocks on airplane mode. Okay, such a great focus booster. So that's the module. All right, guys, those are the laws of progress and results. That's how you structure your day for proper efficiency and how you achieve deep work focus and sort of eliminate distractions from your daily life. Okay, and as I said, we've put a lot of thought into this module, and it's really an important one. It's not the technical knowledge behind the social media marketing industry, which you're going to get in the following phases, but it's some really, really important core working blocks that will greatly help you towards achieving success faster and more consistently as you go with your journey. All right. So I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this module, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.